MotionRC, and you can probably already tell this is a bit of a different video. It's honestly pretty heartbreaking because I lost all of my audio for this entire flight. I'm heartbroken. It was a super fun flight. A Maiden you just cannot replicate, obviously. So I wanted to still upload this video for you guys because I think it had some good information. So bear with me, and if you're watching this, it means the world. Thank you. Today we have the 70mm F-22 from Freewing, the new one. We're doing grass ops, flying with a 6S 4000 battery. It's a big deal to do grass ops with this. A lot of people are skeptical about it because the landing gear is kind of short. It's a heavier plane. The plane sits a bit low, and my field is absolutely notorious for breaking my retracts, especially like on my 70mm F-16. I had issues with my 90mm Avanti, so I didn't know how this was gonna go. So I set this way back as far as I could about, and we used up literally the entire runway to get this thing up. I started sweating a little bit here, and then right about here, I flipped it to high rates, and that was just enough to get it off, but it did get off. Then right here, I sent the landing gear up, and it was phenomenal news. It all went up okay. We didn't have any issues there. And then I noticed while I was flying, it was just a bit nose heavy. So for the next few minutes or so here, I'm just kind of trimming it out and getting a feel for this thing. I wish you guys could hear it. I am so sorry. It sounds great. I mean, it sounds very similar to like the 70mm F-16. It's not too different than that. But it looks phenomenal in the sky. It is a great F-22. I was really impressed with it. The entire time after we got it in the air, I did flip it back down to mid rates, which is actually low rates in the manual. I always do one step lower just because, I don't know, I got non-sensitive fingers. I kind of fat finger stuff, so I did the factory low rates as my mid rates, but I just kept it in that the whole time, and it felt really good. You'll see here as we start coming around, I do get a bit more comfortable with it. But one thing you got to remember, guys, this is the Maiden. You know, I didn't ever fly it before this, so it takes me a little bit to get a feel for the plane. And obviously, I'm still somewhat new to flying, just been flying for this year. So on Maiden flights, it takes me a little bit to get a little more comfortable, but I'd say I got more comfortable with this F-22 than I did some of my other jets. It's a great flyer, and it is fast. There was a couple times where I was like, holy crap, like even now it's so far away because it's quick and it gets away from you with how fast it is. Just to touch on some of the new awesome details is we obviously have rudders now, which is huge, coming from the 64mm retracts, and I really like to see the plastic edition. So the nose cone is plastic, around the vents is plastic, the edges of the wings are plastic. Those are all spots that I beat up my plane, so I love that Freewing is doing this now. But with the retracts, with the plastic, with the new 6S battery rather than 4S, again, I'm comparing it to the 64mm that I have, it is heavier, and it is noticeably heavier while flying. But it's quick. It makes up for it. Again, we're using that 6S 4000, and it had no problem scooting around. But in those turns, because I would go fast, and then I'd cut back throttle, and then I'd turn like an idiot, I would notice it starting to fall, and I'd have to pick that speed back up again. You can even see it in that turn right there. It started to lose altitude. And that's just, it's heavier. Obviously, it has all that stuff going on. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Huge news. All 3 gear came down. The field did not take us out on this one. All 3 gear are down, baby, and I was absolutely jacked to see that. So the next part was dumping the flaps, which is another new thing coming from the 64mm. However, on this approach, I took it way too angled. I was like coming at us, and then I tried using the rudder a little bit, and then I almost like kind of stalled it, so I kicked up the throttle and pitched out of there as fast as I could. Got back up to speed real quick. It has no problem punching out, which is nice. I love that. And then we just circle around and we're gonna come in for another landing. I was getting a little nervous after I almost stalled it there, so you see me kind of twitch a little bit, but we got it figured out, and we're gonna come around and then pray that on the landing we don't just absolutely just stove in this landing gear. So we bring it in. I start losing. It's getting a little dark out. The camera helps see it, but we brought her in, and money, dude. Little wing touch there, but that was just from hitting the ground. You can see I was absolutely jacked. I was so happy. So if you guys watch to this point, it means the world. I wanted to upload this video just for me, honestly, because it's the maiden flight of this F-22. It's a big deal for me, so I wanted to have it. And if anyone can learn or take anything away from this, that's awesome. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and don't worry, I'm going on a work trip, so I'm going to be gone for a week, but when I get back, I am filming another video with the F-22, so that way I can get my real-time reaction of flying the plane and you guys can hear it. Sorry about losing the audio. Absolutely sucks, but we'll see you on the next one.